Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Monday Night Nerds in Suits Live. It's good to see you. As always, we bring in the show with the old instrumental track, The Night Runner, by the band formerly known as Fight the Moon. I do always love hearing that song. It's such a reminder of a different time in my life. The first time that I ever worked on an album of music with a collaborator, David Michael Frank, as many of you know, who produced my current album I'm about to put out. He and I were in this band, Fight the Moon, for several years in our early 20s, in our late teens. We started working on all that stuff when we were about 19 or 20. It's always fun for me to hear that stuff because it brings me back to a different time in my life. But luckily, the song still holds up. This is not sponsored by Diet Pepsi. Good to see everybody in here. It's good to see you. Cam hanging in here. See Phoenix, Lestrina, Ryan, JD, AJ, Aj Lancaster. Good group, good crew. This is an exciting show. This is one that I'm really excited to be here. What's up, Kelly? What's up, Kyle? Big week for me. I'm feeling really positive, really optimistic. A lot of stuff happened in my life in this last couple weeks that I'm really pumped to talk to you guys about. This is sort of a funny thing to say live on a show, but I'm going to talk about it later in the show. Had a bit of a breakthrough with my therapist, which was really, really cool and has given me a little bit of a new perspective. And I'm very excited to bring that to you guys. I, of course, announced that I am 1 week away from actually releasing the first song from my album. What's up, Ryan? How you doing? Good to see you here. Both Ryans. I'm about 1 week away from putting it out. It will come out midnight at the end of the day on Sunday night next week. It will be available right at 12:01. And yeah, I'm getting really, really hyped for it. I have a pre-save link now that's up. So, there's a handful of you guys that have done that. I'll mention that probably a little later in the show as a reminder for everyone to do it. But a lot of stuff happening in the music world for me right now as I'm kind of forging ahead, moving forward with that stuff, getting ready. I announced this tour in August last week that I'm feeling more and more optimistic and excited about. It's really feeling like that's the direction that we're all going, is that's going to be a very real possibility. So I'll probably talk about that a little bit more as well. But yeah, I had a long conversation with David today about next steps on kind of finishing the rest of these songs. I've been trying to write what I believe is the last song from the album, not necessarily in order, because I think I have that song already, but I've got 7 or 8 that I think are all in contention for the spot, but I wanted to find this last song, another upbeat song, because the first one I'm putting out here is pretty upbeat. And I read it in a slower tempo, a little more ballady, a little more like singer-songwritery. And I wanted to have something that just had a little bit more energy to it. So I've been trying to work to write something. And I think I found it yesterday. I think I started working on it a couple of days ago, and I think I found it yesterday, last night. I think I kind of got there. So we'll see. I need to finish writing it to make sure that I think it's the right song, but I kind of got that gut feeling that it was going to be the one. So yeah, I'm getting really, really, really excited for that. I shared the art with you guys last week here on the show, the art to the first song on the album, the first single I'm putting out, Sorry for Tonight. It was a beautiful piece of art that was done by my mother, actually. I was posting it today all over social media. I actually have it in here, so I can show it. A lot of you guys have seen it already. That is the actual piece of art. That's not the actual cover. The cover has more going, but this is something that my mom did. Oh, that's an older version, actually. Now that I think about it, that's not even the final one. But I wonder if I have the other one in here. I think I do. That's the one. That's the proper one. That's the actual cover of the single. So yeah, I love my mom. So proud to have her have done this and be the one that's, it's going to be featuring that cover. So really excited for that. Oh man, there's so many good pictures in this other file. This is the Action Industries one. Look at this. Oh, look at that, PLD. Oh man, that's a good image. Just waiting in there for me. All right. But anyhow, guys, I am feeling very, very optimistic, very positive about all of this stuff. Plenty of things to share with you guys. Plenty of things to talk about. Obviously, we have Schmodown stuff to talk about, as well as music stuff to talk about. There's some positivity goal setting stuff that I want to cover as well, because I'm feeling it. I got a lot going on, a lot of good vibes going that I want to talk about. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's a good image. People enjoying that. It's sweet artwork, says William Harold. I think you're probably talking about Jake's incredible Photoshop skills there on that PLD one. What's up, Jeremy? Good to see you. So yeah, I think one at a time, we kind of go through the different things that are on the docket here to be talked about. I'm brimming, as you guys can probably feel it, just knowing that I'm going to get to start actually, playing this song and it's going to be out there on Spotify, and I'll be able to, kind of share it with people. I think that's another thing that's really interesting when you work on music for such a long time and you want to get it in people's hands and you're close. Like, I have the song. A lot of my friends and family have now heard the final version, but I want to be able to send out this song with like an email to old music contacts and people that I used to know and start to network with it. And I don't want to do that until it's out there properly. And so it's like counting down. It's really counting down the days until I get to put this first song out. And then, yeah, finishing the rest of these tracks, booking this tour, getting, thinking about the vinyl, the actual record cover, the cover of the final product. I need to, come up with a different one. So anyway, yeah, it's definitely going to be really great, and I'm feeling really, really excited about that. Why don't we start with Schmodown stuff, and we can wrap back around on music stuff in a little bit. One of the things that we do here on the Nerds and Suits network, and we have a Nerds and Suits Patreon. A lot of you guys know, many of you in here are patrons. Patreon.com/nerdsandsuits. Is there's a study session that happens once a week at 6:15 Pacific Standard Time. It is basically orchestrated and run by the great Megs. A lot of you guys, know Megs. She's amazing. She does such a good job with it. And I leaned on you guys in that study session a lot as I got ready for this last week for the match with Riley. This is a spoiler. I'm going to spoil what happened on the match. If you guys haven't seen it, then it's probably not the best one for us to be talking about, but I am going to spoil it. This was my first match in 6+ months. I hadn't played a match since early September. And so it was a long time in between matches. I had a lot of time to think about it. I had a lot of preparation time. And anytime you take that extended period of time off when you're playing in the Schmodown, no matter how good you are, no matter how prepared you feel like you are, you miss questions in practice. You miss questions and you feel like you just don't have that thing that, whatever. And it's impossible to not doubt yourself. I think all the good players do it. I think probably all players do it. If you have an extended period of time off, when you're locked in and you're playing all the time, I think it's a little easier to feel like you're just sort of like ready. But when you take that much time off, you feel like the world's kind of happening around you, and it's hard to stay as focused. And so I did a lot of preparation. I felt really, really, really proud of the way I played the game. I felt like I came in as sharp as ever. In the end, I missed one question in the match. I pulled a 3-pointer that was not really normally in my wheelhouse. I pulled a question in round 1 that I thought was a little harder to pull, that was based really more on my awareness of release dates. I think I thought I played well in round 2. So on the whole, I just was proud of the way that the match played. I thought that I played like I had been playing for weeks, for months. And probably that's because you guys had done such a good job coaching me up and getting me ready. So a huge shout out to the entire team of certified nerds at the diamond level and the platinum level who jump in there with me every week. Scrimmage, run questions. I know we have a great session coming up this Wednesday as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's questions probably that some of you guys have. So if you do, throw them in the super chat, throw them in the Streamlabs. But I did talk about this somewhat extensively on Action Guys on Sunday. So probably some of your questions have already been answered. But if there is anything you guys do want to know on this, just anything you want to share, add, say, whatever, this is probably the best forum for me to answer that stuff a little bit more directly, as it is, kind of this is my channel. I think we're all aware of that. And so then the way it works after that match with Riley, and Riley played pretty well. I think getting 6 points in round 1, I tend to think 6 in round 1 is the sort of baseline. That's kind of the baseline of what a good player in the game needs to be getting. I mean, every once in a while, even the best players will have a tough round 1. It just happens sometimes. But I think if 90% of your matches you're pulling 6 or more, you have a chance. I think you really need to be getting more like 7s and perfects if you want to be beating the likes of Collins and Merle. But I think even 6 is it's respectable. I'll never walk out of a round 1 with 6 points and feel like I bombed or I played really badly. Because usually if you miss 2, it's because one of them was in a category you're unfamiliar with, and the other one you got a little mixed up on. That tends to be why you get 6 if you're at the level that like Riley's at or I'm at. And so that was pretty close. But he gets 6. I go 7. Going around 2 there, Riley gets Superman and goes perfect. And I obviously then get Tyler Perry and do the same thing and go perfect. And it was his Superman questions, I felt like were about what you'd expect from a Superman in singles and teams. That's just kind of what happens. Like those IG categories have not started to get difficult in singles and teams yet. And I don't think that they necessarily should, really. I think they're just those are just normal categories. The questions they asked him, what's the name of Lex Luthor's corporation? Like, that's a thing you would get asked, right? Like, you know it, but like, if you didn't know it, how you wouldn't know it, I guess is the point. So I thought his questions were totally fine. I thought my Tyler Perry questions were similarly easy. The Boo question was a little bit wonky. I think that one was a 50-50 shot. I had to trust that the writers weren't trying to screw me on that one. Who plays the bad guy in Alex Cross? That was a little harder, but still at the same time, I felt pretty good about it. We get into that final round there, and Riley, missed a 2. He misses a 2 that I think he wishes he could take back. I know he knows the answer to that question, and I get a 2 that I know, and then it gets to the 3-point question. And, the question was basically, the question was basically, in what 2018 Disney film will you find the 100 Acre Woods and something to do with heffalumps? And, I read Winnie the Pooh as a kid. I loved Winnie the Pooh as a kid. My mom read me the books and stuff. So the 100 Acre Woods I was aware of very quickly. And so I knew that it was a Winnie the Pooh thing. The question then just became, was it Christopher Robin? Was it Goodbye, Christopher Robin? Was there some sort of like anthology film that I forgot about that came out in 2018? That was the math I was doing. So I repeated the question. In the end, the logic was that in in 2018, if they were making a movie called Christopher Robin, not Goodbye, Christopher Robin, they would be using a pretty like family friendly Christopher Robin. And it made me feel like Goodbye, Christopher Robin was a more sad movie. And if it's a more sad movie, more likely to have Donald Gleason, because I know he was the other one. And Ewan by 2018 was probably working with Disney because they had announced the show. So I was doing all this math in my mind, and I thought, okay, like if I'm going to guess one of those 2, I think you got to guess that it's just Christopher Robin. That's probably the one, not Goodbye, Christopher Robin. But it was still somewhat of a 50-50 shot. I just felt like Christopher Robin was the one that I remembered coming out later. So that was how I got that. Riley got a really hard 5. He misses his 5. And that's the way it works. Ryan asks here in the super chat, congrats on the win. Wondering why you didn't choose movie release dates on Spinner's Choice. Clearly you chose correctly. Just curious. Well, the interesting thing about movie release dates is that no matter how good you are at release dates, you can still get 4 release dates that you just don't know because you're off by a year. I had a conversation with a player about this the other day, and it was sort of the idea. I could, if somebody in here in this chat was like, I'm really good at movie release dates. So let's say if Chris Woodburn was in here, I haven't seen him in a minute, but let's say Chris was in here because he's really good at release dates. And let's say that Chris was like, hey, give me 10 release dates questions you think I'll get, and then give me 10 that are similarly gettable that you think I'll miss most of. And I would be able to do exactly that. I could give somebody 10 that I'll bet you they'd get 9 or 10 of, and I could give somebody 10 where I think they would get like 4 to 6. And that's the nature of release dates, is that there are movies that are iconic. There are movies that are sort of like tentpole. There are movies that have some significance. Those tend to be the ones that a lot of us know. If you start asking people about random sequels, if you start asking people about movies that were famous for some reason, even if it was like an Oscar movie at one point, but it didn't win something, it was like sort of that type of stuff, they get harder and harder to answer. Not to mention the fact that if you just ask about movies that are just a little bit less prominent, you can just miss them all, right? You can just miss every single one of them. So it's a dicey category. You basically have to lean on the fact that if you're great at it, like I believe I am the best at that category that there is, even if Scott Mance would say different. If you believe you're great at that category, you're going to have the best shot if you end up with a thing to get possibly 8, 6 points, 7 points, something like that. But it's on there because it's the best defensive slice that I still think I crush. Whereas you want to have a second slice on the wheel as well, which is, now that it's revealed and I use that, I can just openly admit Tyler Perry feels like a knockout slice that I can go perfect in as long as I'm prepared for it, which this time I was, and I was able to, go perfect. So that's the logic. It's different for every player though. I prepare the wheel differently for every single player that I play. I never look at it as like, these are my good categories and these are my bad ones, so I'll just use these. There's always an angle. There's always something you're trying to accomplish, and that's why you choose the slices you choose. And for me, it changes. It changes week to week. It changes month to month, season to season, how I do this and how I prepare. So anyway, that was the answer to the question there. Jumping over to Streamlabs here. I think I just saw the first Streamlab come in. This one was from Gardo Cervantes. Big salute to you, Gardo. Congrats, boss. I love the new theme, and Mark missing his 2-pointer was a chef's kiss from a storytelling perspective. I agree. I still felt bad for him because you never want to miss a question. It's a tough thing to do in a match. I've done it before. It's always a bummer. And that new theme, I could not agree with you more. David B just absolutely annihilated that new theme. So rad. Such a cool theme. Really, really, really great. And for those of you that didn't get to hear it, I can't wait for you guys to hear it when the match goes public. So that was really, 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 really fun. It was ultimately a great experience to win the match. There was a technical snafu that the patrons got to see. They ended up cleaning it up, and it's not really worth us going into very much, but it definitely made for a bit of an experience, I think, for people watching it that were unprepared. One of my closest friends, Yuval, that a lot of you guys know, he came on the stream recently after I played a show. He was watching it on vacation with some friends who didn't none of them watched the Schmoedown, but there was like 4 or 5 of them watching it. And he was like, this is the story. This is who this dude is. Like, he explained it, and they all were loving it. And then he was like, when I got to the end, I was like, what the hell was going on? He just was like, everybody was confused. I was like, yeah, that like never happens. That's like, as far as a live stream goes, stuff doesn't really fall apart like that. But it was, yeah. So in any case, it was a great time, a great match. I was really, really proud of Riley for handling himself so well at the end with some of the stuff I was mentioning. And also just for coming in and hanging and playing well. I mean, 6 in round 1, perfect round 2. He misses a 2, gets a really hard 5. I wouldn't have known his 5. That's the difference most of the time. If you're playing a player like Riley, who you expect, I expect Riley to do basically what he did, right? I essentially expected Riley to get 6 to 8 points in round 1, have close to a perfect round 2. He's usually very good in round 2. And I didn't know how it was going to go in the last round. When he went perfect in round 2 and I had to spin the wheel, it started to become a question of, okay, is this going to go my way or is this not? And if this doesn't go my way, I'm going to really have to fight to hope. And I was lucky to get spinner's choice. And obviously even Tyler Perry to not miss on the boo question, So, I was proud to see Riley play as well as he did. I as much as in the show, I want to destroy him. He's also a player that I would love to see come in and beat some people, have a good season this season. I think it would be fun to see. I know he's capable. So Meg said, Ben, you were throwing all the character stuff at him and he still played well. Proud of him for that. Yeah. I mean, he's absolutely. I was going as hard as I sort of can. But yeah, so after that, Roca crashes the post-game interview. Classic Roca, just does what he does there. And, we end up, going back and forth a little bit and And then ultimately, sorry, I get a text when I'm on air and then it always distracts me. We end up going back and forth a little bit, and then it looks like our next match is going to be against each other. Probably. I don't think it's totally confirmed yet, 100% all the way. But it is around the corner. I spoke to Christian a bit about it today, and it seems like that's kind of the direction that he's hoping things go. So I don't know when that's going to be. But the other thing, of course, was that the team's tournament was announced. My teammate, of course, the great Dan Merle, our team name, Danger Zone, our first matchup against Eric Zipper and Jonathan Harris. Should be a lot of fun. I've played Zipper. I've played Jonathan. I think we have a good chance to beat those guys. Dan and I feel really good about how we're both playing right now. And I'm looking forward to preparing and obviously in the study sessions with you guys on Wednesdays, getting that all going. I'll be playing my next one-on-one against a patron. Once a month, I select one patron at the diamond level or above, and I do a 5-round head-to-head against. So I think probably week after next, I'll be playing my next one, the April match. So if you are a diamond patron, you've never done it, there's still a half dozen of you or so that I think have submitted your names but haven't been picked yet. And I'm bound to lose one of these times. So I will continue doing that and keep getting ready. I got my sights set on what I want to do this season and just trying to stay as focused as I possibly can. So that's, I think, my Schmoedown talk for the moment. If anybody has any questions on Schmoedown stuff, feel free to throw them in. I will try to answer any that I can. Obviously, I did think Roca played well against Liz. I know he's capable of doing that. So, we will see. Monty says, Ben, you were scared to play the Egg Lord. Look, I think there's a lot of really, really good patrons. I think you guys are very good. And I know I'm going to go on a run where I have to play against a bunch of the ringers in a row, and I'm going to end up losing some. So anyway, The 14th is the Patreon match, says Megs. What would I do without you, Megs? That's the real question. So looking forward to that. Yeah, other stuff going on here. So on the music front, getting back to it here, there's this cool thing that DistroKid, which is that's the online distribution service that I use. They do this cool thing where they create a pre-save link. And so you put it out there, and essentially if you click it on your desktop, like while you're on your computer, if you have Spotify or you have Apple Music, you can click pre-save, and it will alert you the minute that the song is live. Now it's a key thing for Spotify and Apple Music. The more pre-saves that you have, the more they favor your song, because there is this sort of dance that you're doing, there is this dance you're doing with Spotify where when you put a song out there, you submit it to their editors to possibly get featured. Now, if for some reason they hear your song and they pick it to feature it in a playlist, then potentially your song can blow up. New people can find it. Obviously, that's the goal. That's what you want. That's one of the sort of powers that Spotify has to help you out. So pre-saves are great. I'm hoping I can get 100 pre-saves on the song or something like that. I put the link up today or last night, I should say. I put the link up last night, and a few people have done it so far. So if everybody in here who's watching, I can put it in the chat here. The pre-save link again. It's in the description of this video, but I'll copy it and do it again. But yeah, if any of you guys that are watching are interested in helping and supporting what I'm doing with music, and you'd be interested in doing that, all you got to do is go in, you click, you pre-save. It'll ask you if you want to share your information with DistroKid. I can vouch that it's a legit thing. It's not sketchy, and yeah, that would be awesome, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build towards that. So I implore you, I ask as a favor, anybody who wants to support what I'm doing here, to click that link. So yeah, I'm getting ready to put this song out. I've been trying to talk to as many friends as I can who have podcasts and whose shows I can go on to kind of go on and really start to push this thing out there. It's going to be quite the full court press. I haven't done something where I've really sort of pushed. Like I've really pushed in a little while. When I launched Nerds and Suits, it was kind of like that. I pushed it really hard for a few weeks. It was totally like that. I shouldn't say it was kind of like that. It was absolutely like that. But it was also a much more kind of on brand thing. I was interviewing people. It was a streaming place where I was going to do movie content. Music is not what most of you guys know me for. Hey, look at this. The great David B in the chat. What's going on, David B? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, and so it's a thing. It's a thing that is foreign to me at this point in my life, to really push the music stuff. And it's interesting. You just realize how lucky you are to have anybody who supports what you do, to have all you guys in here who support what I do and show up to these streams and support us with action and support the Schmodown and help finance our dreams. Like, it is so monumentally important, and it's so difficult to achieve. And I think it's important to remember how grateful you really want. One, I shouldn't say you, but one needs to be when they find themselves in a situation where they have people actually in their corner like this. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting this song out there and continuing to full court press. I'll be on SEN Live that week. Christian, actually, I sent him the song because I have the version, and I asked him if I could go on SEN Live that week to I was just like, I would love to make an appearance on the show and hopefully at least just be able to talk a little bit about the song. And he listened and he said, "This is great. You should play this on SEN." So he encouraged me to play the song. So I'm going to play the recording on SEN, which is really cool. And I'm sure I'll talk about it tomorrow on Backstage and the following week. So it's going to be a thing. It's going to be a lot of work. And then of course I have this show coming up. Which is 12 days from now. It's the Saturday of the week I put the first song out. So I am drafting an email right now to send out to my friends and family, asking them all to pre-save the song and telling them about the show, because obviously I have not told pretty much anybody. Just social media is the only place, but no like texts, emails, phone calls to people in my life who don't follow me on social media. I haven't told any of them this is happening. So I'm going to probably go in tomorrow and send that out to get a little bit of momentum on the show. Tickets are available now. Tickets are $10. It's on a site called Stage It. It's really a lot of fun. The last time I did this was in November, and it was just a wonderful experience. A lot of you in here were there. You bought tickets and showed up and supported, and it was 10 songs. This time I'll be playing every song on the new album, which is 6 songs long. It'll be a cover plus 5 originals, as well as probably a couple others So if you guys are interested in supporting, the other, that is the other thing you can do is get a ticket to the show, which as well, the link to that show is also in the chat here. But at the same time, I will, of course, copy it, and I will, put that in the chat as well. There's 70 or so tickets left, which we'll see. We'll see if we sell them out. It'd be fun. Maybe when I, start to talk about it a little bit more on air, whatnot, maybe we'll sell some more of them. But at the end of the day, I just want you guys there. So even if you want to see the show, but you can't afford a ticket for some reason, there's an option on there to be, I think it's called hitchhiking. And you just basically put your name in with your account there on stage that you can't afford a ticket, you'd like one. And I know last time some of the people, some of you guys were kind enough to gift tickets. I probably, will end up doing something similar, because if anybody is interested in watching the show and is willing to show up, your attention is worth my money. At the end of the day, I will pay to have you show up if you want to support what I'm doing, my art, because it matters. It's a hard thing to do, to get out there and get people to show up. So that is how I feel about it. And I'm getting really, really, really pumped, really excited about it. And it's fun experimenting with these new songs and trying to figure out, what the tone of the album is going to be. I keep experimenting with song number 5, and I keep coming up with stuff that's close. And I think like I said at the beginning of the stream, I was really close. So yeah, Ryan, this is one of my favorite moments, one of my favorite Kaiser quotes here. He only drinks the best stuff, and he has the biggest whiteboard. That was one of Kaiser's best. That was a good one. That was a real good one. But anyhow, so that's kind of what I'm doing there. As far as that goes, go ahead and get a ticket, pre-save the song, whatever you guys want to do. Look at that. We've got 30 pre-saves so far since I did the thing last night. I put it up last night. There's 30 of you guys that have pre-saved the tracks. That's great. I'm hoping to get, I'm hoping to get to 100 by the time the song goes online. And maybe some of these appearances on shows can help me boost those numbers and really get the thing rolling. And then I have to start booking the actual dates. I have to start booking the dates for this tour in August. So as I talked to you guys last week about, the plan right now is to do 2 cities per weekend for 4 weekends. So 8 to 9 shows. I have a pretty good general idea of what I think the cities are going to be. I've talked to you guys about this already, kind of where I think it's going to go, what it's going to look like. But one thing that David Michael Frank was kind enough to do for me was to make me a touring form. So this form is awesome. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. If you guys are watching and you're thinking about going to the show, like you're thinking about buying a ticket to come see me in August, click on this. I just put the form in the chat here. And this form is just a submission form. You just click the city that you'd want to see, the largest major city near you. It's a couple pieces of personal information so I can contact you when I'm on the road. But if you want to see me play live, if it's something you would want to do, this will be very helpful for me to actually figure out where you guys are. Because I'm going to go to the biggest cities is the plan currently. But there's a few that are like on the fringes where I think, for instance, like Austin. I'm planning on going to Austin, Texas. But should I go to Austin, or would it be smarter for me to go to Dallas? And, similarly, there's a bunch of different sort of things like that where it's like, I'm planning on going to Florida. That was going to be like that was the sort of on the fence stop. But what if I should go to Florida and somewhere else? What if it turns out that San Francisco is not a city I should go to? I don't know. Point is, I just put the link in the chat here. So do me a favor, guys, and fill it out. It's free to fill out, obviously, but it will help me. It will help me figure it out what I'm actually supposed to be doing. So what else we got going on here in the world of nerds and suits? This is a big one, something I want to talk to you guys about. So many of you know, I have gotten very excited over the course of the last year to be in therapy. And I've been seeing a therapist since last June, May or June. And it's been great. He's been awesome. This is the same guy in my family that I had seen when I was 17 years old. He was my dad's therapist when I was in high school. And all these years later, as I got back in touch with him, and Megs, you scoundrel. Well, thank you. It does work. And we started doing sessions, remotely. He's in Seattle. And we've done a lot of work over the last 9-10 months now. And what I've found after working with him for as long as I have is that this stuff takes a bit of time. And it's not always... It doesn't work the way you think it's going to work. It doesn't work at the speed you think it's going to work. It kind of works at the speed that it works. And I had this big breakthrough moment last week that I think is very much in line with it's very much in line with the stuff that we talk about here on this channel. And so I wanted to bring it up because I reached out to, 20 or 30 of you guys today on Patreon just to check in with you, see how you're doing, for all different reasons. Some of you guys on Patreon, I just ask how you're doing. Some of you have specific goals. Some of you are going through some tougher stuff. Whatever it is. Kevin, if you, with the Florida thing, I mean, probably Orlando or Miami, but I would say, sign up on the forum. And if there's a lot of people in Florida, it'll make it easier for me to make that decision. So Kelly, VIP experience. Yes, you are all VIPs. That's the truth. David made the form, not me. So it got me thinking a lot about kind of the stuff we talk about here on the channel with positivity, right? And what it got me thinking about was this idea, and I don't know if you guys relate to this, but this is something that happens to me. So when I get up in the morning sometimes, or I end the week, I'll feel this sense of disappointment or like I haven't accomplished as much as I wanted. And sometimes it's specific to a thing. Like sometimes it's like I lost in Schmodown, or sometimes it's like, man, I didn't work out for 2 weeks and I feel just like a slob, or there's all kinds of different reasons that you feel disappointed, or like you fell short. But whatever it is, there's always this idea that if you do it all right and you like execute perfectly, that you could be living the optimal version of your existence starting as soon as you start. Could be tonight, could be tomorrow. Often for people, it's like you have this feeling at night. So you think about, if I did this thing right, again, the common ones people always talk about, it's money, it's weight loss, it's fitness, it's right. Like that's the stuff. And so let's just take weight loss as a classic one. I mean, I mentioned to you, all of you guys, I've gotten heavier than I want to be. I'd like to lose some weight this year. But as an example, you say to yourself, okay, you know what? I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat clean all day. I'm going to do that for this long. I'll lose this much weight. I'll feel great. Well, the truth is, you can apply that same thinking to anything in your life, and you can realize the fallacy of that idea, because you could have applied that to your life at any point in time. And because you didn't reach the thing that you assumed was the optimal version, now you're considering yourself and what you've done in your life a disappointment. But it isn't. It's not a disappointment. You aren't disappointing yourself. You're just human. That's what we all do. This idea that if you change your behavior and you get used to changing your behavior, you will somehow be better, or you will somehow just be the version of yourself you want to be, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. You are the version of yourself that you are right now. That's the version of yourself you're always going to be. And that version's good enough. It has to be. It has to be good enough, because if it's not good enough, that means that you're always going to set the bar for yourself to achieve something, and you're never going to be happy, even if you achieve the thing you thought you were going for. Trust me. I go through this every day, every week. That's just the truth. So it got me thinking about all the things in my life that feel like disappointing, frustrating, things that make me upset or sad. And all I could really think about was the one thing you can control, the thing that you can control, the real thing you can control is your personal happiness. You can't make yourself happy. I've said on here before, choose to be happy, that people say choose to be happy. And that's a little tough, because there are chemical imbalances in your brain. There's depression. There are different reasons you can't just choose to be happy. But you can certainly identify the things that make you unhappy, and you can certainly identify the things that make you feel content or motivated, and you can focus on those things. You're able to do that. That's the stuff in your life you can try to think about doing better, and you can try to change. That if you're doing things in your life that don't make you feel good, if you're doing things in your life that make you feel disappointed in yourself, those are the things to get rid of. They're the things to eliminate and replace with good things. And so ultimately, if that's what you truly focus on, you focus on those things, and you accept the fact that whatever version of your existence, the optimal version that we're talking about, whatever that version is the one you're living right now. All you can do is make small adjustments. You can make small changes. They'll make you feel better. They'll make you feel worse. Sometimes they'll work. Sometimes they take a little bit longer. But if you can make those small adjustments and focus on the fact that you are that person, the same one you'll be tomorrow, the same one you'll be the next day. I mean, good example for you guys. I have this terrible back. It's been killing me the last 4 or 5 days. Like the last 4 or 5 days feel like the month before I had my surgery. awful. I mean, absolutely awful. I filed today for an MRI with my doctor because I need to see what's going on in there. It's preventing me from doing all kinds of shit. It sucks. It's terrible. And in my worst moments, when I'm drinking too much and I'm not taking care of myself and I'm just feeling like fuck it all, it feels hopeless. It feels like, how am I ever going to live the life that I want to live with a back this bad? But then here's the thing. I'll change my behavior. I'll change my mentality. I'll shift it. And I'll remember that I'm just living the version of my existence right now where I have a shitty back. Some other person doesn't have a shitty back. That's their existence. Well, mine is that I have a bad back. That's what I was born with. That's what I have. There are some people born with way worse things than the bad back, and that's what they have to deal with. It's just life, right? So you control the things that you can control that are going to make you feel at least 1% happier than you feel now. Focus on those things, and they will make whatever existence you're living, whatever version of your life that is the one you're in, feel better. That's what you can do. So I really have been thinking about a lot of this recently, is that when I get up in the morning, I don't want to feel like I did or didn't do the thing I was trying to do. I don't want to feel like my day is or isn't a failure because I have an idea of the way it was supposed to go if I was doing it optimally. I'm just going to do what I'm doing, and that's the person I am. And if I achieve more or less than some idea in my mind of what my life was going to be, then that's just what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I mean, or I should say fortunately or unfortunately. It's not really unfortunately at all. It's just fucking life. That is the truth. I could make you guys a list on air right now of all the things that I want that I don't have. But I could also make you a list of all of the things that I have that I probably take for granted. And somewhere in between those two things exists the actual ideal reality of being happy. My therapist, one of the things he talks about, one of our big breakthroughs, is he trained with, like, years ago, 30 years ago, with a lot of this like tantric stuff. It's about pleasure. I think it's like sex related desire, right? It's the whole idea is that you are more likely to achieve what you want in life through things that you want, through trying to achieve pleasure, than you are by restricting yourself from doing things. You're more likely to be successful if you focus on the things that you want, that inspire you and excite you, and create an environment, like you actually surround yourself an environment to feel motivated to go after those things, than you are to think, I need to not eat that. I need to not drink that. I need to not spend so much time on this social media app. I need to, like, so many things that you could focus on not. It's not about not. It's not about no. It's about yes. It's about want. Go after what you want. And if you go after what you want, it'll make you happier, I think. So I wanted to share it with you guys because it's been on my mind a lot this week. It's meant, I can't really exaggerate more than I mean, it feels like an exaggeration when I say it was like a breakthrough, because like here I am, the same person I was a week ago, but it felt like a breakthrough moment for me. This was last Saturday when I was in Seattle, or 10 days ago. It was like a pure breakthrough moment for me. I felt like I had learned something. I had learned to understand something that wasn't there before. And my whole perspective shifted. It truly has. It's not going to make every day better. It's not going to make every day happy, but it certainly made the reality that I'm living in feel like the one that I wanted to be in. Like it made me realize and feel like I'm right where I want to be. This moment, this one I'm in, it's a good one. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep following this thing. I'm going to keep chasing it. And you guys can achieve it. You guys can find the exact same thing, that same comfortability, that comfort in your own skin. It's there. I promise you, you can find it. You just got to do the work to find it. So I have conversations with a lot of you guys week to week on Patreon. And a lot of it's about artistic passions and things you guys are going after, things you're trying, all kinds of stuff. And I think it's awesome. And I think that stuff can be so rewarding. And the willingness to go after that stuff is, I think, some of that stuff that makes you happy. So there you go, guys. That was my soapbox moment. That was my, whatever you want to call it. That was my motivational speaker moment. Whatever it is, something that I wanted to share with you guys because it has been impactful in my life over the course of the last week. So it looks like we have a Streamlab donation from my guy, Jake Yakovet. A big salute to you, call sign Bartab. Thanks for always checking in and seeing how I'm doing. It really does mean a lot, my dude. Jake, happy to do it, man. Just like a lot of you guys, it's I've gotten to know so many of you, and I really feel invested. I feel invested in you guys, and so I'm happy to do it. And JD, So you're saying the outlaw is going down. Good to know. I certainly hope so, JD. I feel pretty good about it. I certainly feel good about it. Dom Gazzulo, every once in a while there's a tantric instructor, and I think that's a lot of pressure on dating apps. That's pretty funny. Yeah, I know. The whole tantric thing. I've like said it to people because I like haven't really looked into it as much. I'll explain it, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, it's like a sex thing." I'm like, "Well, if it's a sex thing, that's not what I'm using it for." But it's good to know that's where that stuff comes from. Ryan says, "You seem positive, Ben. It's appreciated." Hey, I'm feeling stoked. I'm feeling pretty stoked. I'm feeling, like I said, I'm feeling very optimistic. You know, winning against Riley this last week was like, I mean, if I had lost, I would have lost, right? That would have, again, that would have been the life I was living. But I was happy to win. I felt like I put in the work. I was glad to see it paid off. I love the movie Trivia Schmodown. Like, I want to win when I play, and but the truth is, I just love it. And I think something I'm trying to focus on more and more is what are the things that make me happy that I love? What I can tell what they are. That's why music has brought me back. It's why I think I'm going so hard into music this time, because it always made me happy whenever I did it. And this time I there's some runway. There's a little bit of runway here to actually get this thing off the ground and get this thing going. And I think I think something good's gonna happen. I think something good is gonna really happen with this. I feel like I can feel it. I can sort of feel like I'm manifesting it. And ultimately, I haven't gotten to play this song for almost anybody. A couple of you guys have heard this in the studio diary session, and I've gotten to play some of these songs for people live. My neighbors just moved in, and over the weekend we hung out a little bit, and I played some songs, like midnight or whatever on Saturday. It was so fun. It was so fun playing this stuff. I got to play bunch of originals, bunch of covers, and like just for people that I'd never played for before. And they were just really enjoying it. They were like very appreciative. They're like, "Yeah, man, just like keep doing it, keep playing. This is great." So I'm excited about that. I'm feeling good about that. The other cool thing that happened to me in the last week was that I got my first shot. My first vaccine was this last Saturday. I drove out to Dodger Stadium and drove out to Dodger Stadium and got it in my left arm here. It's a little sore. It's not too bad, but I'm halfway through, and in a few weeks, I think close to the end of April, I'll go in for the second shot. And I know I saw this morning that the director of the CDC said the thing about that there was a potential spike coming and impending doom and all this, and definitely that's not something that I want to see happen. I don't think that that's incorrect. I think there probably will be a huge spike in cases because I can already feel the energy and the vibe as people are moving too fast. I think people feel like it's over. And I think we're probably somewhere 3 to 6 months from it being over. But it certainly is going in the right direction. And hopefully it's not as bad of a spike. And hopefully when that spike happens, now that we've been dealing with COVID for the last year and a half, facilities are a little bit more equipped to actually handle packed ICUs, and the people that are getting those cases of COVID are not the highly at risk people, because those are the ones who all got the vaccine. So that's what you got to hope for. What it means and what it feels like right now. And again, I put that form in the chat. I'm gonna put this in one more time for you guys that have shown up. This is a form that was created to help me know where you guys are. So I'm going to be touring in August. I'm going to be doing 8 shows, flying around. And if you guys click on this form that is in the chat, you fill out the largest major city that's near you. I'll know where the people are. I'll know like what the best location for me to tour in is going to be, because this is a self-finance tour. It's completely independent. It's entirely on the back of your donations, your patronage. Since we started this thing last June, the funny thing is, I stream once a week. I do the shows. I have the Patreon. But as I've mentioned, the cost of the album, the cost of production on the album, of printing the vinyl, then of course the cost of this tour, it's all very expensive. Basically, you guys are directly paying for this music, this dream happening. It's because of you guys. That's why it's happening. And that's an amazing thing. So I can't wait to do this tour. I'm going to fly out. I'm going to do these. I really want to make this tour special. Think about for a second the fact that this right here is perfect. Beautiful guitar, most incredible thing probably that I own. That's not even probably, it is the most incredible thing that I own. This was financed by you guys. and I'm going to get to take it on the road with me and play it for you in person. I'm going to get to perform these songs that I wrote, and I'm going to get to play them with the Hummingbird. And that is like when I think, when I think about the stories that we get to tell. I think I said this to someone the other day, and then they laughed and they were like, "You should write that down." And I think my exact quote was, "Life's about the stories you get to tell when it's over." And because I believe that, right? I 100% believe that life is about the stories you tell when it's over. That's what I think it is. I think that like you certainly get to do some things that they fade away and you don't remember them, and there are certainly some things that you probably thought were going to be really special that turned out to not mean as much to you. But the real ones that matter are the ones where you have a larger experience that you don't really anticipate was part of the plan. It just happened. And then when you're 90 and you're thinking about your life, and you're not even 90, you get to tell those stories along the way. That's what it's about. And so for me, I had a major realization this week. Again, it was totally right in line with all that stuff I was just talking to you guys about. I've worked my ass off on this album, right? David and I have now spent between 100 and 200 hours so far on the album. Probably getting closer to 200. And we have recorded songs. I've written a ton. I've gotten back in shape musically. Again, I'm spending a ton of money on this stuff. This whole experience, getting back into music, writing the album, recording it, pressing it on vinyl, scheduling a tour. This is all going to be a story I get to tell someday. Now, if something amazing happens with it and it blows up and it's just, sure, great. That would be amazing, right? I think we'd all be happy if that happened. If nothing happens, if I go out to these shows and I played at 10 or 12 or 15 at you guys' show, and it's just a chance for me to go and meet you guys, and we just get to do a hangout like this, but in person, and I do 8 of those in August, and the year ends and I have this album and I wrote it and I recorded it, that's good too. It's about the process. The process is writing it. The process is recording it. The process is going through it and doing it and believing in it and being authentic while you do it. That's the process. I've learned things about myself in this process, and I'm happy about those things. I know they're going to keep happening as I do this. So I can't wait. I can't wait for this tour. I can't wait to meet you guys in person. I can't wait to book these shows. I can't wait to share these songs with you guys. It's going to be amazing. It has meant so much to me to do this year. And I'm glad we have these Monday streams. I really am. I'm glad that I get to know what's going on in your lives, and that sometimes when you guys are having a great day, you share it with me. And sometimes when you're struggling, you share it with me too. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see. It's awesome to have gotten to work with so many of you in Schmodown and really collaborate with you guys. It's like my process as a player now, when I was 2-3 years ago and I was getting into it, it used to be that I would play and you guys were fans. Not every one of you is a Schmodown fan, but a lot of you guys were Schmodown fans, and maybe we'd interact on Facebook or something like that. But this is before the Action Army days, before there was a General's Bunker, before Nerds in Suits existed. I didn't know what you guys looked like. I didn't know what your voices sounded like. I didn't know how much interest and hunger there was to be on my team getting this stuff ready. Now, when I'm out there playing and I win, let me tell you something, guys. More than half of you in here sent me a personal or private message between Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Patreon, morning of the match, during the day, after. Personal congratulations. Most of you guys have helped train me to do this. Most of you are people that I actually have gotten to talk about strategy with on a personal level. And those are the people that are interacting with me. It's a beautiful thing, a wonderful thing that I can't begin to tell you. If I was ever going to try to give somebody advice on how to do something like this, I wouldn't know where to start. I don't know how this happened. I don't know how I got so lucky to meet you guys, to have you all supporting me like this. It's amazing. It really truly is. So couple Streamlabs and super chats to read here. The first one here from my guy, call sign Hans and Franz, Dan Battenhausen. Big salute to you, brother. This is the first year in years I'm looking forward to my birthday. 31 on Saturday. Excellent age. First vaccine dose and general debate on the same day as well. Have a first date on Friday, and other little things are falling into place. Best I felt in a while, and NIS is a very big help. Dan, I love having you here. Your energy is infectious. It's excellent. I love the art that you're into, the stuff that you're trying. I think it's fucking awesome. I think that feeling, that vibe you have, everything's coming up Millhouse. That vibe, I got the same vibe, man. Optimism. It's coming out of our pores right now. This is going to be like the best summer ever. And if right now you're hearing this and you don't agree, and you don't feel like it's going to be your best summer ever, think about some of the shit I was talking about. You can make little changes. You can think about the things in your life that make you feel happy or satisfied. You could probably make a list right now of 5. You could pick out a piece of paper and say, here's 5 things that when I do them in the day or during the week or during the month, make me feel motivated, satisfied, inspired, happy. And you could probably think, how can I do more of these things? What are the things in my life that are preventing me from doing these things? Okay, well, how can I change my behavior to get around those hurdles? You can do that shit and it will make you feel better. I've seen it. I know a lot of you guys are already doing it. So happy to hear it, Dan. I think that's fucking awesome. Next up, we got a big donation here from my guy, Jack Mayer. Big salute to you. Jack sent me an awesome gift. Showed up. It is the Social Network on vinyl. I had to return the record player I actually bought. I'm going to be getting a new one that actually works with my surround sound. The one I bought was kind of a piece of trash. So I have some records. I now have about 12 records, but I can't play them yet. So the ones that have shown up, I haven't gotten to listen to yet, but coming soon, I will have the whole setup dialed in. I'm doing the research, trying to figure out exactly the right player so I can do the thing properly. But he sent me the vinyl Social Network, which Hands Cover Bruises is one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite compositions in a movie ever. And it's just an incredible score by Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, Oscar-winning score, if you guys have never heard it before. Just dropping a little extra support for the album tour. Glad the vinyl came today, and always super appreciative of the weekly check-ins. They're always incredibly helpful. Jack, I'm happy to do them, and I'm proud of you for working so hard on all the stuff you're doing. Again, the art you're creating is fantastic. I think it's awesome to see you hustling as hard as you are. I think one thing that's really cool here, and I do want to get this, I think I just missed one from Dallas Reynolds. Big salute to you, Dallas. Congrats on the album, your win on Friday. Can't wait to hear all your music. Thank you, Dallas. I really, truly appreciate that. You know, it's funny that we're all getting this vaccine, and it's like getting your vaccine appointment is like a happy thing. It's like we're all waiting for that moment, you know, because I think so many of us have the same feeling, which is that you didn't want to carry this virus to someone who was at risk. So the biggest thing was like, just stay away from people, stay away from people, stay away from people. And, you know, getting the vaccine is not the end, because you can still carry the virus even if you have the vaccine. But certainly it is a step in the right direction. And the more of us that get it, the closer we're getting to something that we all recognize again, which is going to be great, which is going to be amazing. So I'm so happy I got my first one. Alex says, so not Sydney, Australia, huh? Dude, I would, if there was an international date that I could do, I'm not even kidding. If there was an international trip that I could do where I could get 40 people, let's say 40, 50, 40, maybe 40 people. Hey, look at this. We've got a celebrity. We have a rare sighting. I haven't seen this man. Mr. Shashek, my best friend in the whole world. Call sign Stamos in the chat. Wow. What's going on, Lucas? Good to see you, brother. Very good to see you. Happy to have you in here, my friend. I just completely lost my train of thought. I was so excited to see my boy Lucas. But if there was an international trip that I could do, that if I could find somewhere to go that was international, where there was enough people, I would just do it. I would just buy the ticket. I would expect that it would just be literally like an excuse for me to go somewhere, and I would just probably lose money, but I'd be fine. I'd fly with my guitar. I'd go do one. It would be so much fun. So who knows, you know, maybe that's going to be something I can do down the road in the future. Maybe that's something that we can get to. Cause you know, look, unless I get lucky and something great happens with this music, which I certainly hope it does. I definitely hope it does. But even if nothing happens, there's still enough people within the small community that I have between Schmodown and Masters of Modern and Action and Nerds and Suits that I do think, I mean, if I went to like London, for instance, I'll bet you I could get 20 people out in London, 20, maybe 30. I don't know, something like, it's not that many people when you consider that, you know, one person brings someone else. And so I think it would be so cool. It would be so cool to go do that. And I hope it's something I get to go do. I really do hope it's something I get to go do. There's one last story I want to tell here on the show before I let you guys go, just because this is something that happened to me in the last week. And it was a moment for me. It's a small moment, but it's one that I want to share. Just because it maybe you guys will understand. My guy Lucas here says, I'm good. I'm alive. I'm actually going to be living in one place for more than 2 months now. I'm happy to hear that, brother. I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear the move went well. You guys have, you and Alex have a big package coming from Drew and I. We had a full meeting putting together the full list of items last week. So we're I don't know exactly when it's going to go out. We have to get together and get everything in one place, but it may go out this week. So you guys will have quite a bit of Schmodown memorabilia showing up as the commanders in chief, former commanders in chief of Action Army. Big salute, and just happy to see you in here, man. I was trying to locate this record that I have talked to many of you guys about because I've really been enjoying going back and listening to old Strokes. I've listened to the Strokes for like the last couple of weeks, like just endlessly, because growing up, they were one of my favorite bands. And there was this guy that used to live in my mom's house for a year. His name was Leo. He was a bass player, a band called the Catheters. And he lived in my mom's basement for like a year when I was like 12, probably. He was like 19. And the Catheters were a local band. They had kind of blown up. They were on Sub Pop Records in Seattle. They toured a bunch. They were like in the region, and at the time they were getting pretty popular and they were getting pretty big. And I was 12 and I was like in a band, and I thought like Leo was really cool. He was older. He was a bass player. Like these guys were touring. You know, he was kind of a rock star in my mind. So I would go to their shows, and you know, Leo would like get me in or put me on the list or whatever. And I'd like tell my friends in middle school, and we'd go, all the kids in my band or whatever. And there was this guy, Brian, who was the singer in the band. And he was like a front man, and it was great. He'd like kind of sing and scream. It was badass. And so Leo and I fell out of touch maybe 10 years ago. You know, we stayed in touch all through my teens. And then I moved, he moved, and we hadn't really talked in a long time. And so I was thinking about him because I remember that year in 2001, he had a record player in his room. And he brought out the first pressing, the European pressing, the international pressing of the Strokes Is This It? And it's the one, I've talked to you guys about this. I will show you what the cover looks like. It is not the cover that most of you probably remember because it was different and also like, not like inappropriate really, but it was just less of like the type of thing I think that you would expect. Like nowadays, I don't know, maybe it would get made, but it's just one of those types of covers that you feel like bands don't do as much. But it was kind of an homage, kind of a throwback. And so he brought this home, I remember, and he had it because this was the version that he got. And it was the first cover of this record that I saw. And then this record ended up going on to be like one of the great albums of its time. This kind of redefined like, garage rock and roll in a lot of ways. It was super popular. This is the cover right here. And this was the version that he had. He had the vinyl of this. And so I figured this was the cover to the record. It was years later that I found out there was a different cover. So since I've started to collect this vinyl, this was the cover I wanted to get. And it's expensive because it's, rare. And it was a first pressing from Europe. And the Strokes seem to be having kind of a little bit of a renaissance at the moment. So I was looking for it and it made me think of Leo. And so I was like, I still have his number. I wonder if it's the same number. So I texted him. And he was like, hey man, yeah, same number, good to hear from you. Right. And I was like, cool, man. We talked about music a little bit and he was like, what are you up to? Are you still playing music? And I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to release this album. We went back and forth. He showed me some like a folk covers he was doing, he had moved, and I sent him my first song. I was like, yeah, this is going to be coming out on the 5th. And we talked for another 10 minutes. And then he started saying really nice things. He's like, oh dude, this sounds amazing. I'm genuinely so impressed. Like, where'd you record this? And then after we had about 10 minutes, he was like, do you mind if I send this? Do you mind if I send this to Brian Standiford? Now, Brian was the singer in the Catheters. When I was 12, Brian was like the singer that I looked up to. I'd go see him every week, not every week, but whenever they'd play. And like, cause it was I knew the band, right? But I was like this kid and like, I wanted to be a singer, and he was like the man. He was like the cool dude, the front man. And it was just such a moment for me of like, this guy who, now that we're older, is much more of a peer, because when you get into your 30s and you're 7 years apart, it's like, doesn't matter, you're almost the same age. And he's like, this is good enough that I want to send this to Brian Standiford. And it just, for me, was like a moment. It was like, wow, this is such a fucking cool thing that this guy that was my hero as a kid is about to hear something that I did. I'm sure he has no recollection of who I am. It just was a thing. It was a moment, something that again, you talk about life's about the stories you get to tell. So I just got to tell you guys that story. It stuck with me. It was something that meant something to me as he told me that story. And I thought it was really badass. So this is a donation from Oscar Romo here. Yo, Ben, longtime listener, first time caller, you rock. Thank you so much, Oscar. It's good to see you in here, my friend. Big salute to you. So yeah, that was it was just one of those moments. Who knows if Brian even plays music anymore? I don't know, but just a cool thing that made me 20 years later, think about, I said to this morning when I put the song up online, I've been playing music for 20 years. This is the first time I put out a song that's my own, where I can text people and say, I wrote this, I recorded it, it's my composition. If it's good or it's bad, it's because of me. And so, yeah, it's just crazy to be in my early 30s and doing this now finally for the first time like this. So Dan South asks, when did you first start playing music? I think right around the time I was 12. I'll go a couple minutes long here tonight because it looks like there's a couple more donations to read. I first started playing music because I wanted to be in like a talent show at school. I think we were so I was in this band, and I don't remember what we were called, but we did like a cover of like Smells Like Teen Spirit, probably. Yeah, I know, Tony, what happened to the tie straightening. People didn't like the tie straightening because I never wear a tie on these shows. I think we were gonna play like Smells Like Teen Spirit or something, and we wrote we were like a punk band, and I was probably like 12 is my guess, 12 or 13, and I was like singing. And then I told you guys this whole funny story where my older brother was into hair metal, and he kind of got me in thinking he was joking, but I took it super seriously. So I started taking singing lessons. Then I got a guitar, and then once I got the guitar, started writing songs, and they weren't particularly good songs. They were you guys want to hear the first song, the first like real kind of song I ever wrote? This was like I'll play it for you guys real quick. I probably can't even sing the notes. This is when I was like, all right, so this was when I was like 12. No, I was probably like 14 or 15 when I wrote this. I had a singing teacher, and he was like, I just want you to be able to write pretty basic songs. So this is like the first thing I ever wrote. Was the best night that I ever had, every single time. Quite not hard to be perfect when you're dealing with me. Narcissistic is a shield I use to quell my own confusion when discussing the best night in my history. And so I quest endlessly, just trying to find what it is that I think I need. Could be you, but I promise you'd know if it was. 'Cause honestly, I'm just tired of talking about what never was. Here we go. And so it comes back to you, 'cause of all of the things that I never ever got to do. I would cry if I didn't know that I wouldn't care. Just as soon as I could make believe that you weren't there. That's the best I could play it. I mean, I don't remember it as well as I should, so it's a little sloppy, but that was like the first song it was like give or take the first song. The other first song I wrote at the same time was the song called Alana's Song. And it's like the same chords, but played slower. And it went, I don't know a thing about you, but I know that you're in my head. Times to shed it gave me solace in a time that I felt so dead. Then I see you and you. Let's see. Then I see you and you make it easy for me to lay down into your arms. Here we go. 3, 4. You are the one that makes it so hard for me to leave. You are the one who makes it so hard for me to leave. I'll play the second verse because the second verse is my favorite part. It's real dramatic. So this is it for us all. And you're beautiful. You're beautiful. to be is one more moment we will cherish in our real lives. You are the one that makes it so hard for me to leave. You are the one that makes it so hard for me to leave. There's like a bridge that I can't remember, but that was the old days. That was like song. Those are like that song was like maybe song number one, possibly. But I before I wrote those songs, I was like singing in like bands and punk bands, and then trying to do the hair metal songs, and then it wasn't until I was like 15, 16 that I started to get a little more serious about songwriting. But it took a long time, and then I didn't even really, I think, actually understand much about songwriting until I was probably closer to 20, 21. So anyway, that was my my throwback story there as far as music goes. It's been a long journey, and I'm excited to play all this new stuff for you guys. I'm excited about the show. I have a show coming up, of course, on the 10th of April. It is going to be the first song drops on the 5th, so that's going to be Monday. It'll be available. If those of you in here have not already hit the pre-save link, I mentioned this earlier in the show, but I'll do it one more time. If you pre-save the song, it is a huge deal as far as Spotify is concerned, Spotify and Apple Music. So if you pre-save it, it's one of these things that will kind of boost you in their standings. So it makes sure that Spotify has a greater chance to kind of recommend you as a new artist. I just put it in the chat here. If you haven't already hit it, hit this pre-save link. When it asks you for information, you can trust DistroKid. It's super legit. But it'll give you a quick notification when the song goes live on the 5th, and Spotify looks for this. So if you guys would do me a favor and hit that pre-save, it would mean a lot. And of course, the other big piece is this show that I'm playing on the 10th of April. Tickets are $10. It's 5 days after the song comes out. I'm going to be promoting it all week that week. Like I said, going on SEN, talking about it on all the various shows I go on and everything I do. And if you guys are interested in getting a ticket, and even if you can't afford it, even if you're interested but you can't afford the ticket, do me a favor, hit that little hitchhiker button on the StageIt app on the StageIt website, and I'll try to make a way to get you a ticket anyway. Because more of you are there, the more fun it is for me, and that's really the point. The point is to play music for you guys. So the link to the show is also in the chat. Otherwise, guys, I think I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate all of your support, your love, your interest. You keep me happy, you keep me positive. Hope that I can bring some of that back to you guys. I try my best. I know there's a couple other Streamlabs and super chats to read. We have one here from Kelly W. I have to admit, that was the most stressful match I have ever watched. Congrats on the win and your upcoming album. It has been great getting to know you and everyone else these last few months. Love the inspiration you provide. Kelly, it's a big salute to you. Thank you so much. You are a delight. You're a wonderful person, and you're always so supportive of what I do. And you offered your personal help to train me if I needed it, and I'll probably take you up on that at some point. So just very, very, very appreciative of you and everyone else in this community. And this last one here I have is from my guy, Alec Young. First time in a while I've been able to catch you live. Can't wait for your album release and live show in a couple weeks. #salute. My friend, it's good to see you in here. I'm glad to see you back. I can't wait also. I think it's going to be super, super fun. I think we have a lot of good things coming on the horizon here. Nerds and suits and positivity and good vibes and all kinds of cool shit. So if you guys haven't already hit that thumbs up on the video, please do. Otherwise, I will see you all very, very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to another episode of Nerds and Suits live on Monday nights. Love you all. I'll see you guys all very, very soon.